You can use almost anything. If you really think about it, I haven't seen too many nutrients that you can't find bone studies on.
Yeah. Well, yeah. Good point. Good point.
Today is World Menopause Day. October the 18th of every year is World Menopause Day. And the theme for this year is bone health. And since I specialize in menopause and you are a chiropractor, I know that you have a lot to do with. Now, would you say that since you're a chiropractor, you focus more on joints or bones, or what would you say?
Well, it's musculoskeletal, so
Okay.
bones, muscles and bones and the joints that connect them.
Yeah, the skeleton. Okay.
It's all kind of connected, if you will.
Of
So
course. Yes, the leg bone's connected to the hip bone.
ideally it's all connected, right? When it's not
Correct.
connected, it doesn't work right.
It's a problem. Right. So yeah.
But bone health is very important because, yeah, I mean, the skeletal system is what supports everything, right? So
Right.
But yeah, who knew that there was an International Menopause Day though?
I know, and a menopause month, and I guess they've been having it. I'm on their website. It says since 2011, but somewhere else I read they've been observing it longer than that. But they have a different theme every year. One year it was oncology, and one year it was sexual health, and this year it's bone health, which are really important. People don't really ever think about their bones until they've been diagnosed with osteopenia or osteoporosis, or they've broken a bone or fractured something. And then they're like, oh, now I want to take something. And I'm like, okay, now you're going to take calcium and vitamin D and magnesium, which you could have been taking a decade ago because I don't have to prescribe it to you. It's just there. Or you could have eaten more stuff. So no, how do you prefer to replace like calcium, for example? Do you tell them increase their diet, or do you tell them to take a particular supplement?
Well, it depends. I mean, some people can have, like dairy products, and some people it's a little inflammatory. So you've got to be careful with that. It'd be good to have it from the diet. I do think that, there's different forms of calcium too. Some absorb better than others. And I think, so I guess it just depends. It's hard to get, calcium is such a large mineral. You have to take, it's like horse pills a lot of times, right? So
yeah, and then you have to take it several times a day. You can't take all the calcium in the whole wide world at one time. You don't have the receptors to actually carry it and move it all at once. It's got to be done in pieces.
Right. And then also calcium can prevent the absorption of
iron,
other nutrients. So you've got to.
Yeah, like iron and calcium together bind each other, and then you haven't done anything. So you have to separate it from some things.
Yep. So that's something also. Now there is the other thing I say, vitamin D and K are also really important. Yes. So they're all kind of work together.
Yeah, like magnesium, vitamin D, and vitamin K will help you absorb the calcium better.
So yeah, definitely. I think, I've seen, and I have had patients that I put on, there's a protocol with a company that I use that has actually been pretty effective at not just maintaining, the DEXA level is, and I've actually seen, which has been really great. So somebody that's been diagnosed with osteopenia, potentially even osteoporosis, of maintaining their scores and sometimes even improving them as well, which is kind of exciting. But yeah, no, it's so important because you can imagine, people breaking hips, who was telling me that the other day? That's not, that's potentially not that old even, a woman in their 30s. I start thinking, wonder what's going on.
I know, that's weird. Now
their nutrition.
Yeah. The other thing is, like, what herbs do you tell people that are good for bone health? Because bones aren't just pieces of calcium. They're not just Tums. I mean, they have a lot of, you need actually something to drive the body to collect the calcium. Like, why would it go to your bones if you ate a lot of calcium? Why don't you just calcify your breasts with it? Why don't you just pee it out? Like, without like when people had estrogen, and the tiniest bit of calcium can get in your body, but the estrogen receptors will be like, hey, I want you to go here and I want you to go there. Then you go through menopause and you don't have that estrogen signal or testosterone signal or whatever hormone is helping your bones grab the calcium. That doesn't exist. So as people get older, that calcium deposits in strange places. And so I think it's important for people to have an essential oil or an herb to help them build healthy bones. So do you have any herbal suggestions for that?
Let's see. I mean, let's see.
You know, there's a chapter in my book. You can always run and get that and cheat.
Is there
There's a whole,
specific
there's
herbs
a
that,
lot
you
of,
know, for
yeah, there are.
bones?
There are.
Tell me.
I gave a
What would
talk
you
on it once.
say?
So maca is it's an
Ah,
adrenal herb. So anything that boosts your
I was gonna say,
DHEA is going to
I
help
was gonna
you.
say ashwagandha. So that was
Ashwagandha,
something.
they've got a study on ashwagandha and, well, let me think. I definitely know I've seen maca. I don't know that I looked up ashwagandha, but I know maca is one of the herbs. I know that they've studied tea, like green tea and black tea do specifically help with osteoporosis, maybe because they're anti-inflammatory and then the bones can actually repair. But let's see. Black cohosh is another
Black
thing that I've
cohosh.
seen. Horny goat.
Well, and that's the black cohosh affects hormones. So I wonder if that's kind of some of the mechanism with black cohosh. Interesting.
Yeah. Then there are some, let me think.
So what is there a product with Young Living? Do they have in their bone product? Does it have
Yeah, they have
Okay.
Super Cal Mag, so calcium, magnesium, copaiba, spruce, vetiver, and peppermint.
Okay.
Our essential oil, it's got tea in it. Remember we just talked about tea. Hops. Hops is another herb that helps with bone health.
Okay.
So hops, tea, and then the spruce are all good. So I like it. And then their calcium is like a food-based calcium, like made out of marine minerals, and it's not synthetic, so it's better absorbed. So I really do like their formulation better than most, just because like I said, calcium by itself will wander through your body wondering what to do. But if you have hops and tea and other things that can direct it gently to where it needs to go, that is usually a better situation than just surprise. I wonder if I'm gonna pee you out.
Yeah. Well, they're saying olive oil as well. It's interesting. It says of evidence of a study of men consuming olive-rich Mediterranean diet olive oil.
Oh yeah.
Their blood was found to contain boosted levels of osteocalcin,
and
marker of healthy bone formation.
Young Living has olive essentials, so they already have a supplement for olive oil. A liter of olive oil, as a matter of fact, Olive Essential has a liter of hydroxytyrosol, which is studied for bone health. 1 liter.
So what else? Okay, so I have, who was it? So it's a patient, like an in-law of a patient. So she's not a patient of mine, but she was telling me that they were telling her that she was so osteoporotic that she shouldn't even be walking.
Okay. Like she should just be in a box wrapped in cotton. Yeah, that's very brittle bones.
I thought, is she really that brittle because she goes walking every day, or because just the movement and the I say the pounding, but that force of the ground against your feet, helps your body remodel as well. So I thought that was interesting that they would tell her not to. And she was asking me, of course, I don't have enough history on this lady.
Yeah, I'm going to guess that they said that because all you need to do is trip. I mean, you and I have perfectly decent bones, but I'm sure we trip every once in a while, and just bumping against the wall for her is a different. You and I can bump against the wall and not break a bone, but she might have been so deficient that any little bump, that's probably why they were like, walking is not going to hurt her, but heaven forbid walking does not go well.
Right.
I slip all the time. I walk, on a pool surface every single day, and I could easily fall, and I don't want to, but yes, ashwagandha, just to go, circle back to that, there's a study in 2006, Withania somnifera, which is the name for ashwagandha, improves bone calcification in calcium deficient ovarectomized rats. So they took ovaries out of a rat, starved them of calcium, and gave them ashwagandha, and their bones still got better. So
that's one of my favorite herbs.
I know. And Young Living has like 2 or 3 supplements with ashwagandha in them.
Oh, interesting.
The DHEA that they sell has ashwagandha in it, Endogise.
Okay.
Then Powergise is their male testosterone boosting supplement, or I guess they call it hormone support, not testosterone boosting, and So yeah, ashwagandha. And then they have something else. Yeah, the Powergise.
Okay, tell me, this Powergise, is that something that, let me look it up because I don't know what's all in it, but is that something that only men can take, or is it something that
they market it to men, but I recommend it to women because it has ashwagandha. Love giving that to women. It has fenugreek. I love giving that to women. Epimedium is good for your bones. Horny goat, it's been studied for bones. Tribulus probably has been studied for bones. Almost everything, they have a lot of things in that supplement that are actually like bone favorable.
Great. Yeah.
And testosterone favorable. And like I said, they market it to men, but I've definitely told every woman in menopause to take it. And it has ashwagandha. So they've got two products. I like it when DHEA, which is good for bone because it's a hormone and it's an androgenic hormone. But I like it when it's mixed with ashwagandha because DHEA can run around and do a lot of different things. It can become testosterone. It can become estrogen. It could stay as DHEA. I like it when you've got like some adrenal supportive herbs with the DHEA to kind of, I think it makes it more predictable to me. Like I know what it's going to do rather than just surprise DHEA. I like it better that way.
And it's called DHEA?
No, theirs is called Endogise.
Endogise, okay.
But it's got ashwagandha and DHEA together. Yeah, I mean, it's got a ton of herbs in it. Ashwagandha, epimedium, tribulus, and they've done studies on bone health and DHEA. So I like that formula because it's got my ashwagandha, which is good for bones. It's got my DHEA, good for bones, and epimedium. I'm sure I'm going to find a study because I did a whole talk on this before.
Okay, so tell me now, if someone was not menopausal,
yeah,
could they take this, and when would you recommend that?
Here is my cutoff for when people can take things. Like, so if you're menopausal, I know you can't have children. So I'll give you all the weird herbs that I want because you're not going to get pregnant. So what do I care? You know what I mean? Like you're not going to, none of these herbs will hurt you. But if you had an unborn fetus inside of you, would I let you? So let's say I have a 40-year-old and she has had her tubes tied or her husband's had a vasectomy. Somehow she can't get pregnant. And she says, can I take it? I'm like, yeah, you can't get pregnant. Have fun. Okay. But if someone were fertile, I might not want them to take it. Okay. If they were on birth control pills, you never know how herbs are going to interact with that. So I might be like, that's not my new favorite supplement for you. And also, so just for a variety of reasons, I would be very careful about giving it to someone who could get pregnant, as I am with all herbs. Like anytime they have them put anything in their mouth, they make sure when you get pregnant, stop taking it, or I want to give you something different. Right. Okay. Because I like ashwagandha if you're trying to get pregnant. I might like DHEA, but some of the other things, now I have to start thinking, has it been studied? Probably not. And yada, yada, yada. So that is how I do it. So yeah, Chinese single herbs. So I found this article, Chinese single herbs and osteoporosis. This is in 2017. And the ones they like, epimedium, that's there. Vanillic acid. So yeah, vanilla. I would have that. Yeah, that's all they came up. All the ones that I know of. There's like more in here that I've never used. I'm like, and then some more Chinese words I don't know.
Well, and some of the Chinese herbs, the American herbs, they've got different,
words. I know. I'm like, and then so the ones I remember off the top of my head are like hops, which is what they make beer out of. I like hops. The epimedium, I always remember horny goat helps. Epimedium is horny goat. I always remember ashwagandha and maca. Those are like my four herbs that I know help with, that I've read help with bone.
Yeah, maca is a really great herb. I'm surprised we don't see it more often. It's just a fantastic herb. I know we did studies on that years ago. And I'm just surprised it never got more. I don't know. You don't really see it used much. It's kind of interesting. So
because nobody patented it. I don't know why nobody used it. It's an adaptogenic herb. I like it. I like, olives and bone, a green osteoporosis prevention option. But yeah, no, Olive Essentials is featured in my book all over the place because they have a lot of studies on hydroxytyrosol. and like every disease you ever could think of. Because that's why the Mediterranean diet is so popular. Oh, yeah. So let me look up Mediterranean diet and osteoporosis. Is there a particular diet you have people go on when you want them to have healthy bones?
Well, honestly, I want everybody to go on a healthy diet.
Well, but I mean, but
biggest
do
thing
you
is always
say like would
you know, to tell them a specific diet? You know, the Mediterranean diet is always fantastic, you know, and I say that's, you know, like the healthy keto, meaning not your typical keto, but just like really healthy keto, the good fats, the good olive oil, using that. But the key is like cutting out the sugar as much as possible. So I guess the Mediterranean is probably more in line with that, but keto is just to get people that are really the sugar addicts off of the sugar. So,
but I'm like in the back of my book, I have it like osteoporosis, and then there will be a diet that is mentioned for osteoporosis. And
okay.
Mediterranean specifically has a study. This one's in 2018, the American Journal of Clinical Nutrition, a Mediterranean-like dietary pattern with vitamin D3 supplements reduce the rate of bone loss in older Europeans with osteoporosis at baseline. I studied them for 1 year, and they had better bone data. And even Mediterranean diet and menopausal health, they've studied just is which the best diet for menopause, and Mediterranean is one of the ones that was studied.
Yep. So I think too, so yeah, they're looking at the overconsumption of sugar.
Well, yeah,
increases, causes urinary excretion of calcium and magnesium. So I think
right.
The key is getting the sugar down as much as possible. That's the my biggest thing. So yeah, the Mediterranean diet. So yeah, the olive oil, which they're showing can improve potentially your bone health.
Right, which is why I thought, yeah, you brought up the
Mhm.
olive oil before, and that's why I was like, oh, Mediterranean diet. That's the whole thing. The Mediterranean diet is like olive oil on, everywhere.
Yeah. Yep. Lots of greens, and olive oil.
What do you tell them about exercise? You're a chiropractor, so I know you tell everyone to exercise. What exercise do you specifically, do you limit them because they've got pain and they're coming to you, or do you tell them like a particular thing to strengthen their bones?
It depends. I mean, I think the key is to get people moving. Walking is the easiest thing to do. And, you don't want to send somebody out to do running, right? But if they could just start walking, right?
You're not going to send them the right. Yeah, I've never gotten away with that one. You've never run before. Why don't you do a marathon?
Start running. Exactly. Well, and I think too, running, I mean, there are some people, it depends on the person, right? But I think just getting people moving is the key. I try to keep it as simple as possible because a lot of times people aren't doing anything. And so it's like, okay, let's just increase some walking. I had one lady, she was 300 and something pounds. And what I had her do, because she was having trouble walking up and down steps, and just walking any distance was challenging because of her weight. And so I had her find one of those little, of course, going to a gym was out of the question for her, but she got one of those little stationary, not a stationary bike, but it literally is just the pedals. And I'm like, just do that and do it for like 5 minutes, just to be moving. Mm-hmm. And of course, movement is the key. So, yeah. You gotta meet people where they're at, though. I really believe that. And I think that sometimes if we tell them too much, it becomes overwhelming and they don't do anything.
Right.
So, yeah. I definitely give them posture exercises always. And just walking. Walking would be the easiest, cheapest thing to give anybody to do that's not already going to a gym and doing something regular, doing some kind of physical activity regularly, I would say. So
yeah, but there's also this big thing about weight bearing exercise, and most people don't know what weight bearing is as opposed to non-weight bearing exercise.
Well, squats, lunges, if I could get people to do those. I mean, I have some of my people, I just teach them, use a chair and do squats with a chair. So, because a lot of times it's, it's interesting how, some people just doing a normal squat, they don't do it properly and they can damage their knees. So if they're carrying extra weight, using the chair is really easy. Just stand up, sit down, stand up, sit down. And I get their feet placement right. The key is like I said, you got to meet people where they're at. And then I have some people that they've got Pelotons and they do their workouts all the time. So it's just a total, it depends on the person so much.
Well, like
some people are in the gym every, 5 days a week, and it's like their religion, and they're phenomenal about keeping on top of their health and working out. And so we can just do some modifications, but they're not typically the people that are having the challenges with bone density though either.
Right. Because I even tell people I'm like, I really don't care what you do. Even if you did yoga, I mean, that can be weight bearing depending on your position. But even if you just did yoga to realign yourself, like restorative yoga, I mean, when you strengthen the bones and the ligaments around, I mean, the muscles and ligaments around your bone, you're still protecting your skeleton. So that's fine too. You want to do water aerobics, at least you can't fall and hurt yourself. And there's a lot of resistance you can do in the water. So you don't have to, people think they got to pick up 20 pounds and then that's weight bearing. I'm like, no, weight bearing is standing up and
your body weight.
Right. And you can get some bands and do resistance, get tie something around your legs and try to walk with that, because that gives you some extra resistance. So I'm like, pretty much exercise. Forget the weight bearing, just exercise. Get up, move, stretch, touch your toes, because one day people lose their ability to touch their toes. I mean, and you want to, with balance. So just stay in balance, touch your toes, lean side to side, stretch, all of it, all of it. Find something you like and then do it. Dance. I don't care what you do.
I do a lot of Pilates style exercises with people too, because a lot of times they need core strength. And so I use a lot of those, which also are incorporating stretching, strengthening, which is the premise behind Pilates. But I think that, for bone health, I'm just thinking walking,
right.
which was what was interesting about that one lady telling me about her in-law was, I was like, well, and she's not like some frail, like, lady in her 90s or something. I was surprised. That was kind of contrary to what we need her to be doing. But anyways, who knows? I don't know the full story there.
Yeah. So. Now, I found this specific study, the effects of clinical Pilates exercises on bone mineral density, physical performance, and quality of life of women with postmenopausal osteoporosis. So they actually did a study on Pilates and osteoporosis, and it's effective. And that's not really, I don't think of that as a weight bearing exercise. You're laying down half the time, but it helped.
Well, no, Pilates is very strengthening.
I guess if you're doing a plank.
Planks, but even some of the other exercises, there's a lot of strengthening that's happening as well. So, the whole premise behind Pilates is stretch, strengthen, lengthen.
But it was a core. I mean, I always thought of it as a core thing. And I think if you have the Pilates reformer, I could see how that would increase your bone density, but they did not specifically say that they used a reformer, just like mat Pilates. I used to do mat Pilates, and I never thought of it as a bone improving exercise. I liked it, but I never thought, oh, this will help someone's bones. I thought there was, I just thought there would be something else that would be better. But no, they did a study and it was cool.
Yeah, no, Pilates. Well, it's definitely, there's a lot of strengthening with some of the movements, and you're using your body weight, and you're using more just contracting the muscles. It's not necessarily that, the pound, the resistance from the ground from like walking. You're not really getting that, but you are strengthening and stretching. And I think that could be really important.
Like I said, they did a study. Like I said, it wouldn't have been in my top 5 of things to tell people to do, but they did a study, so now it is. But yeah, like I said, I would have stuck with walking, or maybe picking up 5-pound weights and doing a little routine with that, or
Yeah, but I think that would be the easiest thing, to just walk, because anybody can do that. Just about, I say anybody, but anybody that is physically capable can just walk. You don't have to have a membership. You don't have to have anything special to do that. You don't have to go buy any weights. Because I think too that just overcoming those barriers, because a lot of people think that to exercise, they've got to have a gym membership, or they've got to have special equipment, or they've got to have special this. I'm like, no, keep it simple and just do it. Just do something. And
yeah. So let me think. I found a study on yoga, effects of yoga saunas on osteoporosis in postmenopausal women. Did it help? Let me see. It's safe. It includes weight bearing as well as not weight bearing. So yeah, even yoga. Like I said, originally that wouldn't have been my top 5, but now I guess like I said, as I grew and learned more, I was like, yeah, you could do anything. It's the opposite of sitting on the couch. Do something that's not sitting on the couch or sleeping, and we're good. And I don't care what you do.
Get your body moving.
Yep. Doesn't even require special clothes. Throw on your house coat, put your slippers on, and walk around your house for 30 minutes. I don't, you don't have to leave or spend any money. But you have to do something that's not sitting on the couch or laying in the bed.
Absolutely. I know this weather's been perfect to get outside.
It has. Have you been going
out my window?
Have you been going to the Pilates class?
I haven't been the last couple of weeks because I had these calls scheduled, and I kind of like prioritize that. But no, that's a great class too. We should go sometime. I need to get back on my routine to go to that class. So I usually kind of do my own thing.
Exercise why? Yeah, now you got to get into your wedding dress. So yep. What else? I was trying to look up essential oils and osteoporosis, and I actually did read about a couple of them that help. I think rosemary is one of them. Rosemary osteoporosis. Yep. Impact of thyme and rosemary on the prevention of osteoporosis in rats. Everything's in rats, but
so the question is, these oils,
yes,
do you think they have an effect just with inhalation, or do you have to be ingesting them?
Do you
think they're working on the brain at those mechanisms, or is it just if you're actually ingesting them?
I think that it does. Essential oils are such small molecules that it doesn't matter if you put them if you put them topically, they find the receptor that they want in your body. If you inhale them, they'll find the receptor. If you take a capsule, they'll find the receptor. So it doesn't matter how you get them in. And I think that I know inflammation has a lot to do with degenerating your bone. If you're very inflamed, your bone is going to disappear faster than if you are not inflamed. And I know that all essential oils help with inflammation. These two in particular happen to have been studied specifically for osteoporosis, of course, in a rat, not in a person, but it's still a model of where they can show that essential oils can have some impact. So I don't think it matters how people get oils in. I don't think they have to,
Okay. So yeah,
I don't think
that's what I was thinking as well. I just was.
Yeah. And I personally, like, if somebody were having, like, if they'd had I look at DEXA scans every day. So some people have their hip has a bone loss issue, but their spine does not, or their femur does, but their hip doesn't, it's all sorts of, we don't all lose bone in the exact same mechanism, the same way, the same fashion. So if let's say somebody had hip and we know that they had bone loss there, might I have them rub rosemary on their hip? Area. It helps oral inflammation anyway, and might it help with, so I might have them do that particular thing, whereas another person might like rosemary watermelon tea and they might do better at just drinking it. So it just would depend on how I thought the person could incorporate it easily.
So I think, what would you think or say that the number one, if you were going to tell somebody one thing to do, what would you say to do if around in the realm of bone health?
My favorite's always going to be hormones, and of course I can prescribe hormones. I can prescribe testosterone, which is an excellent hormone for bone health. I can prescribe estrogen, also very useful. But the one that people can get their hands on easily is DHEA. And the second one they can get their hand on easily is melatonin. And there are studies on melatonin and osteoporosis.
Good.
I know people never would think that. Nobody would ever just come up with that. But yeah, I researched everything and it's in my book. So
melatonin, at what dosage then for melatonin?
Almost every study I have ever seen. And I think when I did read that one study, they didn't really have a dose. They just said, oh, we think this mechanism would work. But every time they do study melatonin, they're studying like 3 milligrams, unless it's for cancer, which is, so I would treat, if I was using melatonin on a patient, I would be using the melatonin that treated their other issues. If they couldn't sleep and 10 milligrams made them sleep, I'd be like 10. And if they,
Okay. Yep.
or if they had a history of cancer or a fear that they were going to get cancer, I might say, hey, you can use a higher dose because they're studying that at a higher dose. Or if they had an immune problem, so I would use another problem to figure out the dose. But bone dosing, I don't think that the research is far enough along where we know the bone dose.
The dosage. Okay.
Right.
Yeah,
that we do not
that
know.
makes sense. Yeah. I would say was to cut out sugar.
Oh, well, yeah, diet. Yeah, you would say diet.
Just cut out sugar. And I try to, like I said, I try to think of things that are simple, that it's like, what would make a potentially a big impact? Because that would help with inflammation. It would help with, just issues around the bone and the mechanisms of bone rebuilding and breakdown. So anyways, I was thinking, what would be the simplest thing to give people to do? So.
Yeah, that is true. The simplest thing would be diet. So you would tell them less sugar, and I would say Mediterranean.
Right.
Because then they have a book, and I'm sure they'll somewhere in there they'll be say, because less sugar. People don't even know what sugar is. So it's like, a lot of people don't realize all the little hidden sugars. So
that's I
would be like, specifically get a book on the Mediterranean diet that'll tell you all these recipes, which will by definition exclude sugar, and then they would actually have something to do. And then, but like I said, the most important thing, because some people eat a lot of sugar because they don't have energy, and that's the only thing that makes them move. And so if I restore their hormones like DHEA, sometimes that will give them energy. Then they will not be dependent upon the sugar to give them energy. So I always start with hormones, and then I play with everything else. Even like say, oh, always fix the gut, always fix the gut. I'm like, in order to fix the gut, you have to control their behavior. Sometimes I have to make them sleep first, and then they can think better about what I'm telling them. Or sometimes, like I said, I'll give them DHEA, then they'll have energy, then they won't start doing. So I'm always like trying to come from a weird angle because I was like, I need you to listen to me, and let me find out how I'm going to get you to listen. Can you not listen because you're too sleepy, or because you're just your adrenal fatigue or thyroid? Oh yeah. So if somebody has low thyroid, that causes, like, if somebody has hypothyroidism and it's not properly treated, I would expect their bone loss to be accelerated in that condition. So Young Living has Thyromin, which has iodine, which I think is good for bone, and thyroid powder, which is like glandular thyroid stuff. So yeah, thyroid support I think is very important, which most people wouldn't like automatically think of that for osteoporosis, but I know how important hormones are. One hormone off can like accelerate your bone loss.
Yes, all kinds of interesting things.
Yep. There's a study on body iodine status in women with postmenopausal osteoporosis. So even just iodine, even if there's nothing wrong with your thyroid that you know of, even just not having iodine. So who eats iodized salt? Not very many people. Who eats shellfish every day? Not very many people. So it's very easy to not have enough iodine to support your bone. So they've never said here's the amount of iodine that you need, but they do notice that if they measured iodine status in women, the ones with the lower iodine status had lower bone density than the people with normal iodine status. So iodine replacement might be important. They just said may be important. They don't know.
Yeah, and that's definitely, iodine's a really important
for
nutrient as well, just in a lot of different ways. So yeah.
And that, how many people are low in iodine? I would really say that if I just ask everybody, do you, an iodine inventory, like, do you eat shellfish or iodized salt? Everybody's going to say no. Because everybody's eating sea salt. Everyone's doing they're doing sea salt. So, or if they're not taking a multivitamin, because a lot of people are like, no, I eat enough out of my diet, or I take, vitamin D and that's it. And I'm like, but iodine, you have to take a prenatal, a multi, eat Morton salt, like a teaspoon a day, or you have to eat a lot of shellfish. I don't even know how much shellfish it would take to get iodine, but so yeah, it's very hard to get iodine. So as I've gotten older, I've been very mindful of, I do take the Thyromin, and I don't have a thyroid problem, but I know I don't eat enough iodine. I use sea salt on everything, and I do eat a lot of seafood, but I mostly eat salmon, which I know is not giving it to me. Fish, seafood, iodized salt.
Seaweed, cod, dairy. Interesting. Iodized salt, shrimp, tuna, eggs.
Eggs have iodine? But one small egg. Oh, you're right. I did get iodine out of the egg. Sure did. 18.2 micrograms. So I only got 12% of the daily value from one egg. So even if I ate 3 eggs, which I would never eat 3 eggs a day every day for the rest of my life, I now have
it's not
36% of the iodine. But at least I got some iodine. I finally got iodine after the egg. Nothing else did it. But at any rate, yeah, like I said, it's very easy to see how people don't get, it's not easy to get 100% just by eating it. So when everybody tries to tell me, oh, I get everything I need, I'm like, you don't get iodine. And let me see, vitamin A and bones. Would you ever think vitamin A would be good for a bone?
Well, yeah, actually, it's in a protocol that I use for people that have, I say people, with broken bones to kind of help with the process of remodeling. So vitamin A is part of that.
I was looking for a study. I know that vitamin A is good for collagen, and most people don't realize that bones are like 80 to 90% collagen. So anything that helps your collagen, like vitamin C, people never think vitamin C and osteoporosis, but I'm like, your bones are mostly collagen. So you need that.
All of those things are important.
To not break, you need collagen, not just calcium. You need collagen. Ooh, MSM. Do you ever tell people to use MSM?
I don't. It's in a couple of products that I have, but it's not something that's like one of the top things that I tell people to take. There's so many other things. That's interesting though.
But what about joints? Because the MSM is really good for joints, like the osteobiflex and all that. And I kind of always fix bones and joints together.
The chondroitin and glucosamine combination is pretty effective for joints.
You like that?
They did studies on that like years ago.
But you don't.
They started adding MSM to that.
Right. You don't insist that MSM be a part of that. You don't tell them you want all 3. You just tell people glucosamine and chondroitin.
Well, and that's just, it works. I mean, I've seen that. And then there's, 1,500 and 900 milligrams. It seems like that was what they did the studies on, and it was actually really effective. And that was 20 plus years ago that they were doing those studies on that. So but yeah, MSM. No, MSM is good too. I'm not saying it's not. It's just not one of the things that I'm like, there's just so many supplements and so many ingredients and products. And it's like, at what point do you
stop doing that? Yeah, it had the sulfurzyme in it, which is MSM and goji berries or ninja wolfberries. And so that's why I was wondering if you did a lot of that. Now, they do have a supplement called Agilise, which has the frankincense powder, collagen. Does it have the glucosamine in it? Turmeric, black pepper, glucosamine, and hyaluronic acid. That's what Agilise has in it.
Interesting. Yeah.
And then wintergreen, which is very anti-inflammatory. It's what they get aspirin out of.
Yeah, turmeric is fantastic.
And turmeric and clove, which is like free radical killing thing. So yeah, pretty good. And then the black spruce. But I mean, like I said, when I'm doing it, I'm usually doing it all together. A lot of my patients, by the time they get osteoporosis, they will be complaining of some joint issues. I don't know why that, I mean, it kind of goes together. So I'm always like trying to attack both, because I'm like, if you don't have collagen in your joints, your bones also probably don't, that they're all feeding off the same source. And so we need to so yes, my bone joint protocol is expensive. It is not cheap. It is not cheap to get a new skeleton. It is expensive.
So many products.
It's easier to prevent. If you're already okay and you just kind of maintain your calcium and magnesium and vitamin D, that's actually a very simple, cheap thing to do. But by the time you walk in and say, I have osteopenia or osteoporosis, your protocol just got more expensive because we are behind. I mean, it took you 10 years to get osteoporosis, and you need a new set of bones pretty quickly, and it's going to cost, you're going to spend.
Gotta be on top of it.
You're going to do some stuff. You're going to have a tea, and you're going to have some powders to mix, and you're going to have some pills, because there's only so many pills I can give you. But it's a thing trying to get your body to make bone again, or support what you have left. If you haven't broken already, we want to keep it that way. And so we definitely have to support that with everything we can.
Okay, so I found an infographic with iodine. This is interesting. It's showing sea kale is the highest, and then squid.
Where did you get it? What's your website? I'll find it.
It was interesting because it shows the milligrams, but I don't even know what that is. What is that?
Dreams time. I found it. I found it. I found it. Clip art. I found
shrimp, oysters, but shrimp wasn't popping up with much.
It wasn't.
Flounder, egg, dairy products. So it's a lot of fish. Squid. What is that? Is that FEJOA? I can't really see if I can.
Did you get a baked potato? Here it says backed potato, but baked potato. Yeah, I see it.
Keeping enough iodine rich foods. Of course, Dr. Axe.
Milk. Milk has like, oh, prunes. Let me see. Prunes. How much iodine did I get?
Top 15 iodine. Dried kelp, salt, cod, yogurt, dried wakame. Is that how you pronounce it?
Wakame. Yeah, that's like some sort of, yeah.
Grass-fed milk, dried nori. Eggs, tuna, lima beans, corn, organic,
tuna,
cheese, green peas, and bananas. A banana has 3 micrograms.
Yeah, and you need at least 150.
Like
yeah.
Amount. So compared to, gosh, you could get dried kelp. You could get a lot very quickly. Raw organic grass-fed yogurt has 75 micrograms. Interesting.
What has 75 micrograms?
Yogurt, organic, grass-fed, and ideally raw.
Yeah, like I said, I just take a supplement because I was, and then I've got a million little iodine drops around my house. So I mean, I have like a lifetime supply of iodine.
Yep. I know, I just got some too. I was using it in my nebulizer not too long ago.
Oh yeah.
I would just do like 1 drop.
Yeah, but that's a thing. Yeah, like I said, I think me spilling iodine all over myself every day probably helped me a lot. Yeah. Like betadine.
That's a good point.
A lot of betadine. But in general, yeah. I used to put it on all my patients because it's very good for vaginal. Yeah. But iodine is very difficult to get out of your diet adequately, especially once you go through menopause. I really think you need more than 150. So even if you could get it out of your diet, you also have to be mindful of the fact that you need more than what you think you need. So there's that.
True. Let's see. Like almost 2 grams a day is what we really need, right?
You know, in Japan, I think they eat 15 milligrams.
Wow.
Like something crazy where, because I mean, I think 12, no, maybe it's 12.5. 12.5 is what iodoral sells. And I think when people were taking that, I was like, that's a lot. And I have a patient who's like, I'm taking 3. And I'm like, I think at some point you really don't need that much. I think 12.5 is probably perfectly fine. Yeah, I was looking for, like I said, I just happened to have looked one day and found that 12 milligrams was like what they were eating in Japan. So I'm like, well, clearly that's not too much because they don't have a big old incidence of whatever. Thyroid, iodine, and breast cancer. And I know they use high doses when they've studied breast cancer, they've used a pretty decent dose because they have a lower incidence of breast cancer and they take way more iodine. So. But like I said, it also helps with bones. So what do you do? Like, have you ever had anybody with a bone problem and you told them to take like a full mineral supplement? Like, is a full mineral supplement in your protocol? Like all of them, selenium and molybdenum and boron and every single, because I told them, your bones is your repository of all your minerals and they start getting stolen from your bones when you start running out of bones. So I told people, I want you to take a full, like the people who are already on calcium, magnesium, and vitamin D and are still not responding. I'm like, I was like, you might need a full spectrum mineral supplement, like all the minerals, like all of them.
Well, and there's the liquid minerals that could be a possibility. Those could definitely, be something that they could use. It could be the type of minerals that they're taking. They're not absorbing them. Yeah. It could be.
Well, they aren't already taking. They're just taking calcium, magnesium, and vitamin D. And if that's not working, I'm like, but I know more minerals are in your bone.
Right. Yeah, that's definitely true. Let me see. The 2 products I sell you, the Metagenics, they've got a pretty good study
protocol
with those. Yeah,
you
with
use their protocol. Okay.
I've been using those two just because it seems to get results, and I've had a couple of people that have been taking them for a while, and I mean they've got a pretty good blend of minerals. So so that's probably what I would say to do that. The Bone Builder and then the Ostera, those two products are.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, I think I have a bone protocol, but my bone protocol, of course, has DHEA and it's got a multi-mineral supplement. So because
and the collagen is interesting. I haven't been adding that as much, but that is a good possibility to start doing more with the collagen.
Right, because that's new for you. Now you've noticed like your skin, you like your skin with the collagen, right?
I say it's new, yeah, this product, but this is a liquid, and I'm trying to decide because I've gone back and forth, and I have a powder as well. So I was using that for a little bit.
Oh, one was nasty. Which one tasted bad? Don't remember.
Well,
I'm not going to do that one.
Wasn't an actual.
Well,
so was, yeah. It's
more like an amino acid thing, and they were bitter or something.
The same, but yeah, this stuff was not very good at all. But no, I've been using. I've done like the collagen. There's a bone broth that's got that. Well, all bone broth has collagen, but this one seemed to have, and then there was a coffee with collagen. So I've tried some different things over the time just to see. I haven't noticed it's tremendous. It seems like my skin was really improved with the liquid, but now I haven't really gone off of it to see like,
oh, you don't want to. You never want to know if your skin's going to be bad again. Because I know are you still using the Beauty Boost also?
Yeah, I don't use it every single day, but yeah, I do like that product too. I do use
so your skin is way better between that and the collagen, you say?
I think so. I think it's just been in general. Of course, I'm still aging as well. So,
No, don't do that. Take some hormones. Don't age.
Don't age. Yeah. So.
Oh, no. Have you ever told anybody to take Ludian or Lycopene for bone health?
Not specific for bone health. No, that's interesting.
I saw something. It's an yep. I think they've studied it, like potential role, like they haven't said for sure do it, but potential role of lycopene because it's an antioxidant, and antioxidants have something to do with inflammation and blah blah blah. I mean, I would think that's why. And then there's one study that said lycopene influences osteoblast functional activity and prevents femur bone loss in female rats, of course, so in rats again. But yeah, lycopene, which I mean a lot of people have in menopause have eye issues. I have them on lycopene anyway, and then it's good to know that it helps with bone loss.
Now, do you give them that as a supplement separately, or do you just have them incorporate that into their diet more?
Lycopene, no, always a supplement.
Okay.
Because when I diet track people, no one gets enough lycopene unless they're eating. They're growing to make if they're growing
the lycopene. Then are you
so like I personally use something called carotenoid.
Oh, okay. Okay.
Which has like a lot of lycopene, and plus lycopene is good for cholesterol. So it really depends. Like sometimes people will have a set of circumstances, and usually I never think, oh, bone health, lycopene. No, but they usually have something else going on, like, oh, my eyesight's different, and maybe they have a skin issue, and their cholesterol, and then I'm like, oh, lycopene, that all of that is lycopene deficiency. So sometimes they'll tell me things that'll just keep making me think, oh, lycopene. And it just so happens that it helps with it helps preserve bone. I can't say that it's the best bone builder. It's not in my top 10, but it is definitely something that if I'm trying to protect them against loss.
Right. Let's see. I was trying to see what they're in, though. What other products that they're in? Oh, this is the master formula. Okay.
Yeah, lycopene. If you type in lycopene, it's only going to be in the master formula. That's it. Which is good. I ordered it. Why do I have I order the master formula for when I travel. Like if I don't want to take a bunch of supplements with me, I'll just grab a pack and be like, I'll put 4 of these in my suitcase and I'll have some vitamins.
Right. That's probably the easiest thing.
Yeah, I used to try to pack those little daily things that you could put your vitamins in, but they fall out every time I get there. They're all over the place, and I'm like, these don't stay closed. So
I know I would use a like a hair tie or something around it.
Yeah, you've learned from the hard way. No, I don't learn the hard way. Ludian, yeah, Illuminize.
Yep.
Ludian and zeaxanthin. So vitamin A, lutein, and zeaxanthin, that's what's in Illuminize.
I'm surprised that they don't have it. It's not in Ninja Red. It's not in Ninja Red.
It is because it's in goji berries, but they don't list it. It's got to be because it's a Ningxia wolfberry, right?
That's what I was thinking. That's why I was kind of surprised that didn't pop up when I.
Ningxia red is actually good for bone health. Do you know why? Because they have studies on Lycium barbarum, which is Ningxia wolfberry, and yeah, well, they use it for everything. So Lycium osteoporosis. I looked that up. Like I said, somehow in my book, there's things I learned while I was writing that book that I would have like all this random knowledge that's in my brain is because I looked up every single ingredient, cross-reference with every disease. Yep. Yeah, improve in a study in 2017. Improvement of osteoporosis by Lycium. Okay, a different species, Chinese administration and overrectomized mice. They love to take ovaries out of mice and do studies on them. So anyway, a different Lycium, but same difference. I did see one with Lycium barbarum. Pomegranate is good for bones, and pomegranate is in Ningxia red. Yep, pomegranate is helpful. So pomegranate and probably blueberries. So yeah, there's a lot of things in Ningxia red that are definitely going to be helpful.
Oh yeah, I think it's just a great in general. I think
they're doing a Ningxia red challenge next month, but that's probably rabbit eye blueberry prevents osteoporosis. Blueberry prevents bone loss and overrectomized rat model of postmenopausal osteoporosis. So yes, blueberry, pomegranate, and wolfberries have all been studied for bones.
So very interesting. I'm so glad they're doing more,
I mean, this is all in rats, not people, but I'm just saying it still gives me hope.
Still.
I know, but it's like, I would do it I would drink it every day. And actually, blueberry consumption prevents loss of collagen in the bone matrix. So yeah, that's how it's attacking bone, or how it's helping bone not get attacked. Blueberry juice antioxidants protect osteogenic activity. So yeah. Ningxia red would be the easiest way to preserve your bone because you have blueberry, pomegranate, and Ningxia wolfberries.
I don't know why I was thinking the antler velvet for some reason.
What?
That came to my head. The deer antler velvet for some reason.
Yes,
for some reason,
because that's it's a hormone boosting thing, and for sure. Now, do you use that a lot? Deer antler?
No, I really don't. I don't know what made me think about it just now. I thought, I was trying to remember if there were, because years ago we were doing all those different studies on some of these unique herbs that were, that it just made me think about like increasing muscle and nerve. I was just looking at that.
No, I used to sell it in my office, so I definitely love deer antler.
Yeah, it's not something I use regularly. I just thought about it because I thought, for some reason I remember it being potentially.
I definitely know it boosts hormone because every time I used it, I would start breaking out in pimples. So it's definitely androgenic.
Interesting.
Yeah, it's very anytime my androgens increase, that my skin will tell me all about them. Even if I take too much DHEA, my skin will tell me all about it. But you don't drink Ningxia red every day.
No, I don't. I probably should be in a better habit of doing that every day, but it's not something it's not a habit I take it every single day.
Yeah.
So
it's I do it often. I can't say every day, but a lot. Like if I made a shake every day, I could put that in it. But okay, so I found a study in 2019, Lycium barbarum, which is Ningxia wolfberry, polysaccharides promoted proliferation and differentiation in osteoblasts. So they studied, So I knew that particular one helped bones too. But yes, that I would definitely, like I said, you got 3 of the ingredients in Ningxia red for sure have been studied for bone health.
Yeah, I mean, I think in general, it's a fantastic product. A lot of these blends of all these concentrated nutrients like that are they're so good for you. That's why I was, it's always interesting trying to find like, what are the top things that I would recommend for people without having to tell them to take 500 different products.
I know. I really try. Like I said, the protocol in my book is quite involved.
Yeah, it's like.
Well, I mean, it's not really a protocol. It's a number of different options, but I'm like, pick 5 and play with them. Like whatever 5 things you think you're gonna like. If the 5 things are oils, great. Please pick a vitamin though, and find a hormone and do some testing. And I don't have people do 10 things at once. I usually say, here's your 3 things. Let's do a study. Let's check your bone density again. And then we'll keep adding on, because like I said, it took you 10 years to get there. And it might take us 2 years to get the right number of things where you're showing a reversal of, or stabilization of the situation. But that is still how I would approach it. Like, what's easy? People usually find drinking a juice easy, and putting an oil on easy, and taking a pill is, even though it's an easy, inexpensive thing to do, it's not something that everyone does consistently enough. So it's like consistency. What you're going to do consistently is more important than the best plan in the world that you don't do a month from now.
Yes, exactly.
Because bones are a lifetime thing. Your body constantly breaks down bone and makes new bone. And so you have to come up with something you're going to do when your body needs something. It's got to be there.
And after menopause, it kind of
accelerates fast. Actually, do you know people start losing bone at age 35?
Yes.
We lose more bone than we build at 35. And then it takes until we're 50. By then, 70% of the people will have clinically apparent bone loss. And then, it progresses to osteoporosis eventually. Like by 65, I would think a lot of people would have really visible bone loss, but everyone doesn't fracture. And you don't ever want to get to that point where you're easily breaking with simple things.
Right.